On a closed-off road in Paris this morning, two leaders from two countries. The Boulevard Voltaire is the street on which the Bataclan concert hall stands, where two more flowers were laid today for the 80 people murdered here. This was David Cameron's first visit to the French capital since the murderous attack, and he told Francois Hollande that he will attempt to persuade British MPs of the case for airstrikes in Syria against the group which killed so many here.
Later this week, I will set out in Parliament our comprehensive strategy for tackling ISIL. I firmly support the action that President Hollande has taken to strike ISIL in Syria, and it's my firm conviction that Britain should do so too.
Before the Paris attacks, the Foreign Affairs Committee concluded on November the 3rd that British airstrikes in Syria would have only a marginal effect and the UK should not join the aerial attacks without a coherent strategy. So David Cameron will answer those criticisms when he addresses the House of Commons on Thursday to make the case for military action in Syria. But he will ask MPs to vote only when he's confident of winning. That could happen as early as next week, but will almost certainly be before the parliamentary recess on December the 17th.
The first duty of a state is to protect its own citizens.
To be certain of winning, David Cameron needs Labour support, and Jeremy Corbyn, who was responding to the government's defence review today, does not support the plan. In fact, he reminded MPs of previous decisions on airstrikes in other countries.
What lessons has he learned from the intervention in Libya in 2011, which regrettably has been followed by appalling chaos, persistent violence and the strengthening of ISIL?
But many of his MPs think otherwise.
We've got a duty to protect our constituents, but also listen to the United Nations, who've called on the whole world to take action against ISIL, Daesh.
This is a matter of conscience, so whatever the party, the shadow cabinet decides, I think it's important that people who decide to go against that are allowed to do so.
The number of Tory MPs who won't support David Cameron could now be as small as 15. Meanwhile, a Labour MP said to me today as many as 50 or 60 on his side may support the Prime Minister. But our role, if and when a vote is approved, could be as much political as military.
But one of the most significant differences they'll make is the message that it sends, that the UK is a proper contributing member of this coalition, that we do take our responsibilities across the world seriously. And if the French and the Americans and the Australians are involved in this, why isn't the UK?
But while Britain debates its military role in Syria, RAF airstrikes just over the border in Iraq are continuing. Chris Ship, News at 10.